I'm registered to vote.
I am registered to vote, as I've just discovered recently.
I am registered to vote.
I am registered to vote. Last I checked.
I want to, but it's a bit of an effort, to be honest.
Unfortunately, I'm not registered to vote. I will not be voting in the next elections.
I've been voting for, I think 3 times, so I thought for the 4th time I'll be wasting my time.
In a week's time, South Africans will take to the polls for their 6th democratic election. However, a lot has changed since '94. With the political landscape changing and forums for public opinion and discussion becoming more accessible through the internet and the rise of social media. With all the advancements in access to information, we make the claim that South Africans are still voting blind. Voting blind tells a story of how we identify voter blindness through the electoral system, party funding, and election manifestos. And by extension, we engage common myths around the electoral system, which includes if you don't vote, can you complain? And if you can't identify with a mainstream political party such as the ANC, the EFF or the DA, should you consider voting for a smaller party? Overall, we want to know how much you know about the electoral system and how much you know about the party you are voting for.
Every once in a while, you start seeing posters coming up, and then you start getting Musi sending you SMSs and talking to you on a good day. And then you're like, oh, his vote's coming.
So basically, for me, how I understand it, is that everybody casts their votes for their candidates, and then IEC basically they oversee everything, and then at the end of the day we see who wins, who gets the most by democratic.
I think there needs some expansion on it as well, for our understanding, but I do understand that obviously political parties provide us with opportunity to listen to what they could provide for the country, and then we take it to, I would say, a vote, of course, to see who we prefer to run the country, and then by majority that party wins and then can take control of things. I guess that is the smaller or the simplified version of it, correct?
Our system is a little bit more democratic in the way that your vote actually does have a say, because other countries that use stuff like an electoral college, which then obviously everybody votes for that person, and in the state that wins or whatever area that wins, they cast a ballot. But with us, when it's the national elections, it's actually each vote actually goes into the number. I'm not sure if that is correct.
So South Africa is a proportional representation system, which basically means as individuals, you go to the ballot box and you vote for your party, and that party, the number of votes that party gets is divided into the number of seats that you get in parliament. So, just to give an example, if there are 100 seats in parliament and there are 10 parties, and each party gets 10% of the vote, each party gets 10 seats. So that's a PR system. So it's directly relational to how many people vote for each party. So in the PR voting, you can vote for a party, and that's all you get to vote for. You don't get to vote for any individuals. And on the actual ballot paper, you have the face of the leader of that party, whether it's Ramaphosa or Mayamane, or you have that face. But that's the only person that you know you are voting for.
Wait, so just to clarify, you're talking the seats in Parliament are taken up by individuals that we do not know?
You're voting for a closed list that the party has decided they want to send to Parliament. Now that list is transparent, so the list it's advertised, it's published, and so before you go to vote, you can go and look on who that list is. So you're not voting blind in the sense that you don't know who's there. Of course you can go and see who's there, but you have no influence on who gets onto the list and how to change people on the list or the order of the list.
From conducting interviews with influencers, our research reflected that they have a basic understanding of the electoral process. We found this to be quite problematic as they influence public opinion, discussion, and discourse. In addition, we consulted experts to provide a better understanding of the electoral process. Do you know what the list system is?
No.
Never heard of it.
We do know about the electoral seats and how it matters in Parliament, specifically for how they cast votes and obviously work out which policies they're going to implement. I guess that's as much as we know, but I mean, as far as just natural or the normal voting goes, I think that's as far as our knowledge goes on that.
I'm shocked to hear that. I was under the impression that every single seat in Parliament was taken up by somebody that had to be there, and the party had publicly elected them to be there for a specific reason.
There are shortcomings with this particular system. You're supposed to look at the list, and we must. And I raise the point: put pressure on the IEC. Even though the IEC publishes it, they must not only publish it on their website. It must go into newspapers.
At the time of filming this, party lists appeared on Twitter, and we wanted to corroborate the authenticity of these lists on the IEC's website, and lo and behold, there was no list. Given that we live in the time of fake news and false information, can we trust random lists appearing on Twitter?
When it comes to the public watchdog, and I'm speaking here as a journalist, I think we play an important role in holding parties to account as to how they come about drawing up the list.
We must have publicity around saying who's on the list of the political parties, and there must be a profile about each person.
If parties basically had sponsored posts in newspapers where they were like, this week we're focusing on this guy's on the list, I'm more likely to buy into that party though, because I go, you are opening yourself up, they'd have more chance of winning my vote at least.
The problem that now with the closed list system, it's perpetuating the lack of accountability.
The big downside of PR is accountability. Because of those members that go to Parliament, let's say those 10 people from each of those 10 parties have gone and sit in Parliament, you as an individual voter have no way of holding any of those individuals accountable. You don't really. I mean, aside from the usual social media, the normal, published media, other ways, lobby groups, advocacy, civil society, it's difficult to aggregate individuals in the party and hold an individual accountable. So a system that does do that is the first past the post, or the Westminster system, where you actually vote according to districts. So then it's totally different to South Africa, where you then have a country divided into, let's say, 100 districts, and each district has one person who wins that election, and that person is the member of Parliament for that district that goes to Parliament. That's the way the UK system works, for example, or in Zimbabwe. But the upside of that is you can then hold that individual accountable. Something goes wrong in your area, you get load shedding, you don't have water, whatever is going on in your area, there is an individual, you can hold them accountable for your particular governance issues where you live in your region, because you voted that individual in as a member of Parliament. So, there is an argument, maybe there should be a mix of these systems, a mix of PR and a mix of first past the post voting. And actually that is what Zimbabwe has. They have a hybrid system. And quite a few new democracies that are looking at reviewing their systems do actually do these hybrid systems. So maybe that's a thought. Maybe if we had individual accountability, it would take away these problems. But South Africa has chosen not to do a hybrid system. So as we stand now, there's very little individual accountability.
If you're on the slate, you're on the slate, and it's open to patronage. And so we have seen patronage. People dare not cross certain lines because there are loyalties. And so you make decisions based on your loyalties, and if you begin to rock the boat, you can find yourself off of that slate, you're off of the list, you get bumped down the list. You're really just voting for a party, and then that party makes a decision about who's going to be placed in particular kinds of positions. And so we've seen the kind of political patronage playing out, feeding into this corrupt animal that we now have.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has reacted to the 2018 Corruption Perception Index, which ranked South Africa 73rd out of 180 countries.
There obviously are kinks that could be worked out. It would be more ideal if we knew who was going to be in Parliament. But if those people are elected to sit in those seats and they can fight for the ideals of the party, that's more important to me than like a long list of representatives who might have a personal agenda or have a personal opinion on something that is different from the rest of the party.
So the reason we have a proportional PR system is that during '94, when our constitution was formed and we were choosing what electoral system to have, there was a lot of fear that minority groups would be marginalized. So say there's a party that only 5% of the population support. If you don't have a PR system, that 5% can end up having no representation in parliament. So PR allows for small parties to be represented. And that's one of the key reasons it's been supported, and it played a very good role. I mean, it has played a role in helping most people to feel they have some level of representation, that somebody's speaking their voice.
I think South Africans are voting blind.